What's going on today, YouTube? Rob here. In today's video, I'm going to be profiling another Blue Eyes deck for you. This time, I only used cards out of the legendary Duelist Season 2 set that recently came out. This deck is very casual, but I still think it's fun to play. And if you were to get like a case of Legendary Duelist Season 2, which is what I opened for you guys, you'll be able to build something like this, or Harpies, and maybe even something like build a plant deck that forms around Black Rose Dragon. But this is what I came up with for Blue Eyes, so without wasting any more of your time, let's get into it. Alright guys, let's get on with this Blue Eyes sealed deck from Legendary Duelist Season 2. First off, we're going to start with Triple Sage with Eyes of Blue. When this card is normal or special summoned, you can add one level 1 light tuner from your deck to your hand, except for Sage. And you can discard this card, then target one effect monster you control and send it to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon one Blue Eyes monster from your deck. You can only use this effect of Sage with Eyes of Blue once per turn. Next up, we have 3 copies of Maiden with Eyes of Blue. When a card or effect is activated that targets this card, quick effect, you can special summon one Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand, deck, or graveyard. And when this card is targeted for an attack, you can negate the attack, and if you do, change the battle position of this card. Then you can special summon one Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand, deck, or graveyard. You can only use one Maiden with Eyes of Blue effect per turn, and only once that turn. Next up, we have 3 copies of Priestess with Eyes of Blue. When a card or effect is activated that targets this card, quick effect, you can send one effect monster you control to the graveyard, and if you do, add up to 2 Blue Eyes monsters with different names from your deck to your hand. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target one Blue Eyes monster you control and shuffle it into the deck, and if you do, special summon this card, and you can only use one Priestess with Eyes of Blue effect per turn, and only once that turn. Next up, we have 3 copies of Master with Eyes of Blue. When this card is normal or special summoned, when this card is normal summoned, you can target one level 1 light tuner in your graveyard and add it to your hand. You can shuffle this card from your graveyard into the deck, then target one effect monster you control and send it to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon one Blue Eyes monster from your graveyard, other than the sent monster. And you can only use this effect of Master with Eyes of Blue once per turn. Next, off with our 2 ofs, we have 2 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon. Then we have 2 copies of the White Stone of Ancients. Once per turn, during the end phase, if this card was in your graveyard, because it was sent there this turn, you can special summon one Blue Eyes monster from your deck. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one Blue Eyes monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. You can only use this effect of White Stone of Ancients once per turn. Next up, we have 2 copies of Kaiba Man. You can tribute this card and special summon one Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand. Then we have 2 copies of Decoy Dragon. This card lets you, if this card is targeted for an attack, target one level 7 or higher dragon monster in your graveyard and special summon it. And if you do, change the attack to that target and perform damage calculation. Next, we have 1 copy of Protector with Eyes of Blue. When this card is normal summoned, you can special summon one level 1 light tuner from your hand, and you can target one effect monster you control and send it to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon one Blue Eyes monster from your hand. You can only use this effect of Protector with Eyes of Blue once per turn. Next, we have 1 copy of White Stone of Legend. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add one Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck to your hand. And lastly, for our monsters, we have the 1 Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon. You can ritual summon this card with Chaos form, must be ritual summoned, and your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. Also, it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And if this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. Sorry, inflict double piercing battle damage to your opponent. That's it for the monsters. Let's move on to the spells. So for the spells, we're starting off with triple copies of Dragon Shrine. This card lets you send one dragon monster from your deck to the graveyard. Then, if that monster in your graveyard is a dragon normal monster, you can send one more dragon monster from your deck to the graveyard, and you can only activate one Dragon Shrine per turn. Next up, we have 3 copies of Majesty with Eyes of Blue. This card lets you send one Blue Eyes monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard, then target one face-up monster on the field, and it cannot attack while it is face-up on the field. You can only activate one Majesty with Eyes of Blue per turn. Next up, we have 3 copies of Burst Stream of Destruction. If you control a Blue Eyes White Dragon, destroy all monsters your opponent controls. Blue Eyes White Dragon cannot attack the turn you activate this card. Next up, we have 2 copies of Rage with Eyes of Blue. This card lets you banish this card and as many cards as possible from your hand, field, and graveyard face down, and if you do, special summon up to 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck. You cannot normal or special summon monsters the turn you activate this card except Blue Eyes White Dragon. Next, we have 2 copies of Mausoleum of White. During your main phase, you can normal summon one level 1 light tuner in addition to your normal summon or set. You can only gain this effect once per turn, and once per turn, you can target one face-up monster you control and send one normal monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and if you do, that target monster gains attack and defense equal to the level of the monster you sent to the graveyard times 100 until the end of this turn, and that's even if this card leaves the field. You can banish this card from your graveyard and add one Burst Stream of Destruction from your deck to your hand. Next, we have 1 copy of Beacon of White. If you do not control another Beacon of White, you can have 3 or more Blue Eyes monsters in your... And you have 3 or more Blue Eyes monsters in your graveyard. You can target one of them and special summon it, but negate its effects. Also equip it with this card, and when this card leaves the field, banish the equipped monster, and other monsters you control cannot attack. Also, if you have any number of Blue Eyes monsters or monsters in your graveyard, the equipped monster can attack up to the number of times during each battle phase. Lastly, for our spells, we have the 1 Chaos form. This card can be used to ritual summon any Chaos or Blackluster Soldier ritual monster. You must also tribute monsters from your hand or field and or banish Blue Eyes White Dragon or Dark Magician from your graveyard whose total levels exactly equal the level of the Chaos or Blackluster Soldier ritual monster you ritual summon. That's it for our spells. Let's move on to the traps. We have 2 copies of Ultimate Creature of Destruction. This lets you target one Blue Eyes monster you control, and this turn, the face-up monster is unaffected by card effects except its own, and it cannot be destroyed at the end of the destroyed by battle, and also any opponent's monster it battles is destroyed at the end of the damage step. And while this card is in your graveyard, you can normal or special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon. You can set this card, but banish it when it leaves the field, and you can only use the effect of the ultimate creature of destruction once per turn. That's it for our main deck. Let's move on to our, again, very limited extra deck, due to this being a sealed Blue Eyes deck. So this requires one tuner and one non-tuner Blue Eyes monster. Neither player can special summon 2 or more monsters at the same time, and once per turn, when an effect of a card in the graveyard is activated, quick effect, you can negate the activation. And quick effect, you contribute this synchro summoned card and special summon 1 light dragon synchro monster from your extra deck in defense position, except Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, but destroyed at the end phase of this turn. And lastly, we have one copy of Blue Eyes Twin Burst Dragon. This requires 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons. Must either be fusion summoned or special summoned by sending the above monsters you control to the graveyard. Cannot be destroyed by battle. And this card can make up to 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase. At the end of the damage step, when this card attacks an opponent's monster, but the opponent's monster was not destroyed by this battle, you can banish the opponent's monster. Alright guys, that's it for this sealed only Blue Eyes deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to leave a like and comment on what your favorite card out of the set was. Also, consider subscribing to the channel for more fun Yu-Gi-Oh! Videos if you're not already subscribed, and try and help me reach my goal of 100 subscribers by the end of the year. That's it for this video, and I will see you in the next one. That's game.